In today's weather video, we're going to be talking about a severe weather risk happening from the Midwest over into the Mid-Atlantic into portions of the Northeast over the next 3 days. In addition, we are going to be talking about a flooding slash flash flooding risk over here in the South along the Gulf Coast, where we could see a tropical development move in and seeing some very catastrophic, potentially catastrophic flash flooding occurring in the Gulf Coast states. Stay tuned to hear more about that. For today, June 16th, 2026, we have a slight risk of severe weather for portions of eastern Iowa, northern Indiana, and southern Michigan. Biggest risk for this day is going to be the wind threat, which we do have a 15% chance in for northern and central Indiana and southern Michigan. So that means that we have a 15% chance of damaging winds within 25 miles of a location. We also, all of these brown spaces that you see across the country are 5%. So isolated wind threats in any of these, like the northern plains, even central plains, see even the Georgia, Florida state borderlines could have very isolated wind possible. Next risk is going to be the hail threat, which I actually do think is the biggest because both areas we have a slight risk for severe weather. So for hail, we have again for eastern Iowa, northern and central Indiana, and southern Michigan, all in the yellow. We have a 15% chance of hail occurring within these areas, within 25 miles of a location. Also, in these brown areas that we see too, isolated hail is possible in any of these areas, so be aware as well for that. Then, for the tornado risk, we have a 5% chance for northern Indiana and southwestern Michigan. We also do have a 2% down here along the Gulf Coast. So anywhere between like Houston to the Panhandle of Florida, an isolated tornado is possible down here as well, all over in the green. For tomorrow, June 17th, 2026, this is where things do get serious. We have a moderate risk of severe weather for, I would say, north central Illinois and northwestern Indiana. For tomorrow's risk, it's going to be really the tornado threat that's going to be our problem here, which we do have a 15% chance of in the red area, and also a category L2 risk, which means that we could have damaging, intense, violent tornadoes occurring within this area. We also do have a 10% extending from areas like St. Louis in the yellow all the way up to northern Indiana as well, surrounding that 15%. We also do have a 5% from Missouri all the way to northwestern Ohio with a 5% plus a category 1 risk. So a few intense tornadoes could be possible within the brown or yellow regions. Then for the wind threat, we have a 30% chance extending from Missouri to northern and central Indiana with a category 1 threat. So we could have a couple of like 70 to even 80 mile per hour damaging winds occurring all over the dotted areas. But really, our biggest threat is going to be for central Missouri, central Illinois, in northern and central Indiana. Then for the hail threat, which is going to be the least of our concern, but we're still going to have to be concerned about it, is a 30% chance along, I would say, like western Illinois in the red, and like along that and along like the border with Iowa and Missouri. Over in the red, 30% chance plus a category 1 risk. So we could have a few large hail events occurring in the red and the yellow, but they're going to be the least of our worries, but we're still going to be having a problem with that. For June 18th, 2026, we have a very large slight risk in effect across the mid Atlantic and portions of the Northeast, extending anywhere from Kentucky to pretty much New York City, and 50 million people are going to be impacted by this slight risk. For now, I will say damaging winds is probably going to be our main concern, but isolated hail and tornado events could be possible within the yellow as well. And the yellow portion, the slight risk, could actually expand into a lot more possibly if they do think at the SVC that it could be more significant. Next thing we are going to be talking about is the flash flooding risk or excessive rainfall. For today, June 16, 2026, we have a moderate risk of flash flooding across the coast of Texas and central Louisiana, even in the southern Mississippi over in the red. So the flash flooding, I would say would be quite likely in the area of red. Flooding could be possible anywhere from all of the Texas coast through most of Louisiana, southern Mississippi, into central Alabama, even into western Georgia, and the Panhandle of Florida. In the yellow, possible flooding to flash flooding is possible within these regions as well. So, as the tropical development does move through, and we're going to be having a quite significant rainfall event, because this is only one of three, by the way. Into June 17th, it's a smaller risk, but it's still there for the coastal areas of southeastern Texas and also southwestern Louisiana. Over in the red, have a likely event of flooding and flash flooding occurring. Also with a 15% in the yellow, extending from the coast of Texas to even the beaches of Alabama. Could be in the 15% as well. We are going to have to start looking up here, though, where our severe weather threat is going to be for the Midwest, even with all this yellow in effect, from areas from Missouri all the way over to western Pennsylvania. Could have some possible flooding events as well. Going into June 18th, a very big risk is going to be in effect. We have a moderate risk for central Louisiana, central Mississippi, central Alabama. So very likely flooding events could be happening in the red. We also have a very large risk, of slight risk from even like the Gulf Coast, all the way through the Appalachians onto West Virginia, backing over into the plains. So this slight risk of flash flooding could be affecting possibly nearly 50 million people. And even in just the red risk alone could be like 2 to 2.5 million possible within these areas. So flash flooding over the next couple of days across the South could be a really big concern. With the severe weather threat we're having up here in the Midwest, could also be a very big concern as well. So a big weather day for especially tomorrow, June 17th, will be very possible. I am going to be going over the timing of the severe weather event first. So first thing that we do see is we are going to be having, going on through June 16th today, is that there will be some isolated damaging winds and hail moving through the area. Tornadoes could be possible, especially within northern and central Indiana, as I said. However, those won't be lasting long and will most likely be ending by evening time. As we do move in through tomorrow, June 17th, we can already see that within like an hour or so, we can already see a line forming through Illinois and Missouri, which will be our primary threat for damaging winds. Possibly behind this line or even within this line could have some embedded intense tornadoes as well. We could even have some pop-up showers. Like the line could collapse, and then we could have some pop-up showers behind the line, and then that's what could be causing our huge tornado threat. Now, it is going to be moving southeast quite quickly. It isn't going to be stagnant. It is going to be moving through quite quickly. So, for areas like Chicago, it'll only be a matter of like 4 to 6 hours before the threat is gone. And so after it moves through Illinois, it does move through southern Indiana into Ohio throughout the overnight hours, going into Thursday, June 18th. And then that's what the line will then continue for our slight risk, moving on to areas like Kentucky and West Virginia. Could be making another video or short about that for Thursday. It's going to have to depend with my schedule because I am really busy this week. But make sure you guys are liked and subscribed to keep up with the weather update videos that I do make. Alright, so the last thing we're going to be talking about in today's weather video is going to be our probability for temperature and precipitation for the next week or two. So for the next 6 to 10 days from now when I make this video, the western and southern part of the country, where all this red and orange is expected to be above normal for temperatures, especially with the El Nino forming. We're going to be keeping up with that. And then for the central and northeastern parts of the U.S., will likely are to remain below average for temperatures for the next week or so. Then throughout the next week to 2 weeks, most likely it'll be the same thing with the northern portion, like Midwest could be a little below average. Areas along the west and the south would are most likely to remain above average for temperatures, and then a large swath of the country, like the plains, Ohio Valley, and even into the Northeast, are are likely to remain near normal average for temperatures over the next week or two. Then for the 6 to 10 precip outlook, most of the country is likely to remain just a slightly above normal for precipitation. West Coast, however, could remain very much below average for precipitation, especially for areas in northern Nevada and northern California. For the next week or two, precipitation is most likely to remain a little bit above average for areas in the interior part of the U.S., like central and northeastern. And then for the western part of the country, especially in the west coast, could see areas a little bit below average for precipitation. And then even areas in like the Sun Belt over the next week or so could be near normal average. So areas between Texas and Florida, I would say, would be are to be near normal average for precipitation. Okay, for the last bit for real, however, precipitation wise for the amount of rain that we could see, areas in the deep south, we could have some areas reaching up to 8 inches possible. We could even have an isolated amount of a foot of rain within the matter of 72 hours, especially areas along the coast of Texas into central Louisiana, central Mississippi, and central Alabama. I think a lot of the rain, though, especially might just remain off the coast, like even where it shows like this dark, like orange color here. That's a foot of rain. It's likely to remain off the coast of Texas. However, if that pushes even northward even a bit, it could affect areas along the coast of Texas in central Louisiana. Going up here into our severe weather threat area for the Midwest, some areas could reach up to 4 to 5 inches of rainfall possible in the red area. So if you guys do like to see another hunt weather video, make sure you guys like and subscribe and share these videos with friends or family. And subscribing and liking the videos will definitely help me support a lot with this YouTube channel. And I do hope to grow this into the near future. So if you guys like to see another one, make sure you guys consider doing that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.